In this video, we're going to have a look at numerology as practiced by my good friend Norma Lachance. If you are an aspiring astrologer, this is for you. Hi, I'm Alison Price. I do think that working with other New Age practices alongside astrology is a good thing. I believe that if you are a dedicated learner of astrology, you can't just stay in that one lane. You need to have an understanding of perhaps crystal work, numerology, tarot work, or something like that. And that's why I've invited Norma along today to have a chat with me about numerology and how she practices it. Now, Norma is also a practicing astrologer in Kelowna, BC, and she does numerology as well. She actually was a numerologist first and certainly a mathematician, and now she's a full-time astrologer as well. So Norma's going to tell you how to calculate your number and find out what number you are. And of course, we'd all like to be a 10, I assume, like Bo Derek, but clearly not everybody is, and we all have different numbers, and Norma's going to show us how to calculate those numbers, and then she's going to go over each of the numbers and explain to us the main meanings of these numbers that we can then relate back to our astrology charts, and also ultimately perhaps some planets in the charts as well, and the themes that we understand coming through for planets in astrology are also reflected in the numerology as well. So let's get started with our interview. So let me introduce Norma. Norma is an astrologer here in BC. Norma, perhaps you'd like to tell us a little bit more about yourself and the astrology you're doing.
Thanks, Alice. Well, thanks. First of all, thank you for having me. I started off as an aspiring astrologer, and now my teacher has told me that I am an inspired astrologer. And you know, I find that as a mathematician, so I'm a math person, and a life coach, and that astrology has really come to be this beautiful blend of people and math and how I can bring them together, and it's really rounded out a lot of what I do in my coaching. And so I sometimes blend it in with my coaching consultations. Sometimes I talk to people specifically about their chart, and then of course there is Astrology Today. So I do a daily podcast talking about the daily transit and whatever strikes me when I get up in the morning, whatever it is that I want to talk about.
That's great. So we will put the link to your Astrology Today podcast in the comments below. You recently gave a talk about numerology here in Vancouver, and I'd like you to perhaps share with us a little bit about what that numerology was and how it entailed and how you come to the numbers you do.
So it's great. So I was invited by the Astrologers Den. It was lovely. And of course, in this environment, it was a Zoom meeting, which has its inherent challenges, but we went ahead with it. So I talked about numerology, and I've been a numerologist. I mean, I think that just goes without saying. When you're a math person, you look at everything in terms of numbers and patterns. So the numerology is based on people's birth date, just like in astrology. So day, month, and year. And we add up all those digits, and it tells us something about the person, generally about their life purpose. And it's based on a book by Dan Millman called The Life You Were Born to Live. And so the session that I did, we talked about everybody's numbers. It was a lot of fun. And I don't know if I'm going to guess that we're going to talk a little bit more about numbers now.
I think so. So to start with, I'd like you to share with us how you actually calculate what somebody's number would be.
Okay, well, you know, I've got, shocking, I know, paper and pen here. I don't know if this is going to show up, but I don't know. I'll try this one. So, let's pick, well, you know what, let's do today's date.
Okay.
Right, let's do that. So what do we have today? We have July 21st, 2020. I almost forgot what it was. I don't know if you can see that. I'm hoping you can. Anyways, so I'll just explain as I go. So July is the 7th month. So 07 or 7 plus 2 plus 1. So you don't add up 21. It's 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0. So when I say the digits, I mean the digits, all of the digits that are in the date. So now I have to do math on camera in front of everybody else. It's very stressful, right? 7 plus 2 plus 1, that's 10. Plus 2 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. So what we would say is if somebody was born today, they're 14, kind of like how we say, I'm a Cancer, I'm a Leo, I'm a 14. Then we would take the number 14 and we would add those digits together, and that gives us the number 5. So really, your kind of life purpose, the number that is really quite significant for you if you're born on this day, or if you already added up your numbers and you're a 5, then 5 is your life path. Now, all of the digits from 0 to 9 each have a significance. Kind of like in astrology, how we talk about houses. Those are themes in your life, or how planetary energies mean something in specifically, then each of the numbers means something.
Okay, so could you go over what each of the numbers mean?
From 0 to 9?
Yes.
Wow, I could do that. So I'm going to assume that the listeners, the watchers, the audience out there have calculated their numbers. So I'm going to click through them all. So the one, again, that you want to focus on is add up all the digits, then add those, whatever number it is, 1475, add those together, and that'll give you your number over here. So I'm going to talk about the archetype and the energies associated with each of those numbers from 0 to 9. So let's start off, actually I'm going to start with 1. So 1 is creativity and confidence. So 1s are, can be quite confident and creativity and confidence. They are also very out of the box thinkers. They think outside the box, come up with unique ideas. Now, like, the general principle, according to Mr. Millman, is that sometimes we struggle with our purpose. No one is surprised by that. Yes, we run into that a lot with our clients, is that they come to us because they're struggling with, perhaps their life's purpose, or their love, or, money, or, all the big themes in life. So when I say creativity and confidence, don't imagine necessarily a person who's super confident and really creative. They question themselves. Their confidence wanes sometimes. And so they don't always appear to be the most creative person. I have 1 in my number, and I know that personally I struggle with my own creativity, even though people tell me all the time I'm incredibly creative, but I don't think that I am. So it's that struggle of creativity and confidence. Okay, enough about number 1. 2, my favorite number, the only even prime number, look it up. Anyways, 2 is cooperation and balance. So here's a person who strives for that nice balance in life. They're cooperative, they enjoy group projects, working with other people. And again, sometimes we struggle with that. So 2s tend to get out of balance. They agree to everything. They're on every committee and on they're carpooling everybody's kids, and it's the house for everybody, like everything is going on, and they generally have to take a month off because they're exhausted. That's 2. Yeah. 3 is expression and sensitivity. So 3s need to be heard. They need to put a unique stamp on whatever it is that they do, that expression out in the world. And that can be talking, but it can also be artistic expression, so that they feel like they're contributing something very unique creatively out in the world. Sensitivity, amazing horse sense, right? They read people really well. They read a room really well. This is who you want in HR. This is the person that is really good with people and reading people. 4, stability and process. So this person is ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. It's that honey-do list, It's like they love a list. So they have a list, they check it off, they enjoy, having things being very structured and having a procedure to things. And then the stability piece is 4s need an anchor, something that anchors them into the planet, so they're not flailing away and just rolling with whatever, a tree with no roots that it just gets bowled over by whatever's happening. That's 4. And the next number is 5. 5 is freedom and discipline. Now this one sends people for a loop, because they're like, wait a minute, discipline and freedom? Like, how does that work? And 5s are these people that just want to break all the chains of conventionality and go live on the top of a mountain. Like, they just want that freedom. They just cannot stand, to be confined by anything else. But at the same time, they crave discipline. And what I find with 5s is that it needs to be self-imposed discipline, not somebody else coming in and telling them what to do. But by creating a beautiful structure and discipline in their life, it frees them to be this unique person, right? So it's that having that structure.
Sounds interesting, yeah.
Well, and the just as a side note, so in the talk that I did for the Astrologers Den, we did try to associate planetary energies or signs in astrology with numerology, because there are a lot of similarities there. You'll see a lot of themes. Just what I was just talking about, discipline, I immediately think Saturn, like that, just right away I think about Saturn.
Absolutely.
Freedom, what do I think about? Uranus, right away, right? Or Aquarius. So the energies are there's a lot of linkages there. I could go on forever, and clearly I am
that might be a topic for another video when we actually consider the astrological correlations.
That'd be good.
Let's go. How about number 6?
Okay. Number 6 is vision and acceptance, and mostly self-acceptance. So vision, these are big thinkers. They see way down the line. They see the huge manifestation of their life. And a lot of times what happens with 6s, they get a little freaked out. So it's that acceptance, that self-acceptance, to trust that vision that is happening. So acceptance of themselves, acceptance of others is also a really big theme for 6s.
Great.
And then on to 7, trust and openness. This is a tricky one, I'm not going to lie. Very famous 7, Princess Diana. She's the image that I come up with all the time.
Wow.
That fragility, because to be able to trust, you're kind of going out to the edge of a tree and handing somebody else the saw. You're out at the edge of the twig and you're handing the saw. So you need to trust yourself, trust others, and then have that openness, because really, it's a very vulnerable position, right? But there's a lot of power in being in trusting, right? Because then you're allowing forces that are outside yourself to come in and manifest in your life.
Good.
Okay,
good.
On to 8.
Yes.
One of my faves, power and abundance.
Wow.
All I can hear is Jupiter and Mars. Yeah, so power and abundance and Pluto. So 8s, when an 8 walks in the room, they just carry themselves with a lot of power. They bring with them, they've got a natural charisma, and they're just abundant. And that abundance doesn't always mean just money. It's abundance of health, of energy, of joy, of love, right? So just an abundance around them. Now, remember what I said in the beginning is a lot of times we struggle with our life purpose. So sometimes we find 8s are, really wealthy. They're philanthropists. They're giving their money away. It's Warren Buffett. Fantastic. But sometimes we find them to be miserly because they're living in fear for whatever reason. So they try to keep whatever abundance they have to themselves. And they get kind of overwhelmed almost by the power that is around them. And then finally 9, integrity and wisdom. Here we are. These are the old souls of the planet.
Right.
The sages. This is the person you go, I'm just going to go talk to them. And even if they're young, we feel that they have a lot of knowledge and wisdom. And so we would go to them for advice. This is the person, the integrity piece is, this is the person who stands up in the schoolyard up against the bully, because it's like, this is wrong what you're doing. They put their heels in, they dig their heels in, not in a stubborn way, just in a way it's like, this is not okay. This is my integrity. You're not going to cross this line. These are very solid people that you can definitely count on. And then finally 0. Now I left 0 to the end because when you add up all your numbers, you don't necessarily get 0 at the end. But 0 is woven in there, like say you're a 20 and it's 2 plus 0. So 0 is in your number. And 0 represents special gifts. So 0, if you have a 0 in your number, you're really obligated to get out in the world and figure out what that gift is. So, and we all have gifts. I always say this. We all have gifts and talents to discover, but 0s are really obligated. There's going to be a real hole, like the 0, in the world if we don't manifest that gift. It's really important.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that is really quick, people. That was a very highlight. I mean, I could probably talk
I'm sure.
About each number.
We're trying to get a bit of a grasp of the numbers
that's the
that relate
highlight
to astrology. And can I just go back? Did you call this a master path number? What did you call that?
Life purpose.
A life purpose number. And that's the number you get when you add up all your birthday numbers.
Yes.
Super interesting. So would you say that, say for instance, we spoke about today being July the 20th, would you say that today being a number 5, it's that type of day as well? Or doesn't it work like that? Does it only really relate to perhaps things that are alive, actually, being a life purpose number?
Yes, no, it's a great question. This particular system deals with the birth date.
Okay.
So the day that you were born, just like your natal chart. But of course, we are affected by as all the patterns, the particular dates. One thing that Millman talks about is our birth year. And so what we can do is you take your birth date, the current year, add those up, and it gives you the theme for the year, much like a solar return.
Like a solar return.
Very much like a solar return, where
Right.
you would have a theme for the year, and that clicks over every 9 years because, of course, we go 1 to 9, and it kind of tells you what you need to be working on for that particular year.
So with that, just to recap, you take the date you were born, the month you were born, and add it to this year's number, 2020.
That's right.
And you come up with some number. Okay, that's very
Right.
interesting.
So
very much like a solar return.
Yes, so like if somebody's birthday is July 21st, but you weren't born on 2020, this year, the year of 2020, is going to be a year of 5 for you because it's the 7th month plus 2 plus 1, and this current year gives you a 5. So that means that for somebody born July 21st, it's freedom and discipline for 5. So that's going to be maybe a more structured year for you.
Okay. So would this date, when you add up for the year, would that go from the birthday like a solar return, or would it actually go from the January the 1st to December the 31st?
It would it would go from January 1st to December 31st.
Thanks.
So a little bit different than a solar return because you're applying the entire year of 2020. So as soon as it turns into 2020, that's when it would start.
Fantastic. So on January the 1st, we all really get a new number, what we're saying.
Exactly.
And it goes up, I suppose.
And then once it gets to 9, it starts all over again. Oh yeah, there's patterns and everything.
There's patterns and the patterns. So there's no negative numbers with this.
Well, she's caught me out. I'm very much a cup half full life coach, so I do like to look at things in the positive, but in this particular system, we say that you can work your life in the positive or in the negative, much like in astrology. We all have free will.
Right.
We all have choices that we can make. It's not deterministic, meaning it doesn't mean this is what's going to happen to you this year. So for my example for the 5, so here we have, freedom and discipline. Perhaps this person in the negative becomes too disciplined, too regimented, too much structure. Then they're not really free, are they? So yes, you can absolutely work it in the negative if you choose to.
Right. So this is quite interesting because you've actually then got 10 numbers that really you're working with, and they have key themes to them that we can apply to people's birth dates. I think that's very interesting. Yes, indeed.
Well, and very much like astrology.
Yeah.
That, I say in my podcast all the time, all of the planets affect us.
Right.
But just in varying degrees, because, if Mars isn't a particularly strong planet in my chart, then I'm not necessarily going to be affected by the movements of Mars. Just like 2 may not be a number that is important, in your number, and so it won't affect you as much as perhaps another number.
So this is super interesting. Thanks so much for sharing this with us. So if somebody would like to book a consultation with you, could you tell us a little bit about what you offer?
Absolutely. So from an astrological point of view, I do natal charts, predictive, as well as just looking at the natal charts. Happy to do that for you. Of course, you can contact me through the podcast if you like. In terms of numerology, if you're more interested in that, I also do, a general consultation about numerology. I highly recommend the resource, The Life You Were Born to Live. But if you want something a little bit more personal, absolutely get in touch with me. You can get me through my email, astrologydiva@gmail.com, which I'm guessing Alison will put in the program notes.
Yes, I'll put that below so you can email Norma directly as well.
Great.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us about the numbers at all, or are we good there?
I think that pretty much gives you a really good introduction of what's happening with numerology. Certainly do your own research or get in touch if you want to know more.
Well, Norma, thank you so much for being here with us today, and I'm sure we will get together in the future to discuss more details about numerology and, of course, other astrology topics as well. It's been very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And thank you, Alison.
So that was super interesting, talking with Norma about the numerology as she relates it in her astrology practice. And I hope that you are able to now know what your numbers are. Certainly do share your number with us below. My birth number calculates to a number 7, so there's a bit of an insight for you there. And certainly do share with us the number that you are in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Alison Price. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.